right, everyone. On this extra special exit interview, we are joined by a dancing diva from the East Coast. I hope you're feeling foxy, because it's Mya Foxx.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hey.
Thank you for being on the podcast today. We are so excited to talk to you. We're also so sad to talk to you because, as I said before,
No.
I was like, I'm so sad you're eliminated. Oh no.
I know. I've been looking forward to talking to you all, but I was like, it's happened a little sooner than I would have hoped, but I'm still happy regardless. Yeah, a little sooner, but. It is what it is, but let's chat, y'all. I'm excited.
Exactly. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's go back into the beginning. How did you get into doing drag?
Oh my God. So I kind of fell into drag by accident, to be honest with you. So I've always had kind of like a love for dance, performance, all of those types of things. But I grew up I live in Halifax now. I've been in Halifax for 11 years. But I grew up in a rural community on Cape Breton Island, which is also in Nova Scotia. So very, I love my home, but it can be a little backwards at times. And, boys didn't perform and boys didn't dance. I always went to dance competitions with my sister and stuff like that, but I didn't start until I was 24 years old. I started going to adult drop-in classes, and then I started getting pretty good. And I had some friends in the drag community, and they started reaching out to me, and, it was just kind of like, do you want to backup dance? Do you want to choreograph for us? So that's kind of my introduction. And for the longest time, they were like, you need to do drag, like, you'd be really good at it. And I was like, no, like, I just wasn't comfortable at that point. And then, COVID hits, and you're stuck inside for months on end. And it's kind of like, when are you going to have fun again? And there was like a brief moment of time where the bars had reopened, and they had offered me a guest spot. And they're like, we'll paint your face, you can wear our looks, all this kind of stuff. And I fully just had the intentions of doing it one time. And then I kind of fell in love with it. And then, 2 years later, here I am.
Here you are.
Yes. So that was me kind of like partially answered. Like, why did you audition for Call Me Mother?
So I was actually asked to audition for the show. So we had in Halifax, we actually hosted a viewing party for the semifinal of season 1, and we brought Barbada in to do the show. So she mentioned on the show we had worked together, so that's where we had worked together before. And Barbada, she was like, oh my God. And at that point, I wasn't even doing drag, I think, a year. Like, it was like 10 months or something like that. And she was like, you have a spark, like, you should audition, like, da-da-da-da-da-da. And one of the executive producers was actually in the audience that night, and I had met her there. And I didn't really think anything of it at the time, but then when auditions happened again, they had reached out, and I was kind of like, am I ready for this? Like, I've only been doing it for a minute, but I was like, if they're asking, I should put in a tape. So I did, and obviously it worked out.
Yeah,
when opportunity knocks, you got to answer
exactly.
the door.
Exactly that. If they're asking you for an audition, I mean, why wouldn't you do it?
That's what I'm saying, right? That's what I'm saying. And I'm very much like, I'm a perfectionist. Like, I like to have, everything the way that I like it to be. So I felt, a little unprepared kind of going into it, but I was like, you don't know when another opportunity like this is going to happen. So you got to kind of grab the bull by the horns and get it popping.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Okay, so we find out that you made it onto the show, and your first little introduction of getting onto the set is stepping out of that car onto that carpet. What were you feeling at that moment?
Oh my God, it was wild. So the order that was shown when we stepped out on the carpet, that wasn't how it happened. I was actually the first one of the day. And so when I came onto the carpet, I went in and then, did the thing, and they're like, okay, we're going to do it again. Like, we got to check your mic. We got to do this and that. So when I was walking back to get back into the van, that backdrop that was there actually blew over and missed my head by about 2 inches.
Oh, no.
It was epic. And then they're like, oh, we have to do it again. I'm like, no, put that in there. Like, people will remember that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it was fun though. But yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, when I showed up, I mean, I'm the first contestant ever from the Maritimes to be on a drag reality show. Right. So, I mean, and we've been looking for some representation for years. I mean, it's been, 2 seasons of Call Me Mother, 3 seasons of Canada's Drag Race, and we haven't seen anybody from those provinces. So I knew I had some pressure kind of coming in and wanted to represent. And I had actually, when I had gotten the call to be part of the cast, I was actually on vacation in Dominican at the time. So I lost like 4 days at the beginning because I was still in Dominican. And then when I got home, I got COVID. So I was out for another 10 days. So I literally got ready for the competition in probably like 8 days or something wild. Like me and my friend and my drag daughter were like running a workshop at home, like just like stoning and getting everything together and whatnot.
Yes.
It was honestly like when I got there, it was just kind of like a sigh of relief in a way. I was like, okay, I made it. You know what I mean?
I'm here. Yeah. It's all good. We're good to go.
My body is off this plane and on this carpet.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I live. Okay, so speaking of looks and like representation, your runway look from last week was just like absolutely stunning. Can you give us a little bit more on like the creation and like was there any like special meaning behind it, anything like that?
Totally. Yeah. So I knew that I definitely wanted to show off my culture on the show and I needed to find a way. And when I saw that one of the runways was family photo, I was like, this is perfect. Right. So yeah. So, I mean, you know, it's based on a photo of my great grandmother and her immediate family. And, you know, kind of the history behind that is my great grandmother was an Inuk born in Labrador. And when she was a young girl, she was actually sent to work for a white family off the coast of Newfoundland as a live-in servant, and basically like wasn't paid, was abused, like went through it, right? And obviously like that had a large impact on our family. And you know, unfortunately, you know, like a lot of Indigenous people, there was a little bit of a loss of culture there, right? Like when that happened to her and she returned, like she no longer spoke the language, you know, and there's certain traditions and things like that that you know just like weren't spoken about again. But not all of it was lost, and that heritage was still handed down. Right. So that's something that I'm very, very proud of. So I knew that I wanted to do something that referenced, you know, her and our family history and all of that kind of stuff. So I worked with a local designer here in Halifax, Caitlin Koo is her name, and kind of explained, you know, what the history was. And she's Filipino, and there's some history between Inuit and Filipinos in Canada. So it was this nice kind of, you know, bonding of culture and all of that kind of stuff. And, you know, the garment itself is based off of a jacket called an anauti, which is typically a jacket that an Inuk woman would carry her child in. And it usually has a hood on it. And that's where the child would go and you keep them warm and all of that kind of stuff. So you notice kind of like the cowl neck shawl that I had, that's where that inspiration had come from. But obviously wanted to amp it up and dragify it. So, you know, kind of merging those two worlds. So showing up the set, that was definitely the look I was most proud of. And I'm super excited that everybody got to see it.
Yes, that look was absolutely gorgeous. You should be so incredibly proud. Like if you weren't already, like
Thank
that.
You.
I mean, you like, definitely heard it on the podcast. We both like gave it rave reviews because we thought it was stunning. And I went on. I've told you this before, but I went on for like 5 minutes of just talking about how much I loved your outfit. And DJ finally went, okay, we have other people we need to talk about. So
moving on to the next bit. No, I'm joking.
On to the next person.
But no, honestly, and like you all, I'll have to get out to Vancouver at some point so you can see it in person because there's so much to it that didn't even translate on TV. Like it is a stunning garment. So yeah, I'm happy y'all liked it and enjoyed it, and you know, happy to be like the first Inuk drag performer ever on any show. So yeah, happy to show that off.
That's awesome. All right, so moving on to this week, obviously we have the dance challenge, which you are known as a dance queen. So that's all in itself. I mean, there's the pressure of being a dance queen for a dance challenge in itself. But you're also known to do like the 90s, 2000s kind of stuff from what I've heard before. So what did it feel like getting given the 70s?
Totally. Yeah. So, I mean, you know, I definitely, you know, I identify as a dancer. I've taken dance classes as an adult and stuff like that. But my training is in, you know, hip hop, jazz, heels, like street styles, right? So again, where I started so late, like I never had that foundation that a lot of dancers go through. So, you know, I've never taken a ballet class. Like I've never had those more, you know, technical styles. So, you know, I knew I had some pressure going into it. And I love the 70s. I love that whole vibe. But I mean, Fahrenheit was not playing around with his choreography. Like, I mean, I genuinely feel like Pepper and I had one of, if not the most difficult routine, and you only get to see a part of it on the show, but it was 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and we had, you know, pirouettes and high kicks and splits, and there was a lot going on technically that, you know, I had to push myself. And I mean, Pepper comes from that more technical world, so, you know, I knew I had to match her energy. So there definitely was pressure there, but again, I didn't back down from that challenge.
Speaking of Pepper, my next question was, what was it like working with Pepper and mixing the houses?
Oh my God. So Pepper is like my soul sister. Like, I mean, on day one, when we were lining up to go into the mothership, I saw her and I was like, who is this beautiful gazelle woman? Like, I need this person in my life. And it was just like one of those moments where the energy just clicked. Like, I felt like I've known Pepper forever. And Jesse was our other person. It was the three of us the entire time. And you'll notice a lot of the shots like we're painting at the same table. And like, you could hear in the mothership, like, other people are like, they're talking about their storyline and like, this and that. And like, they're doing, and we're just like having a good time, like kikiing. Like it was like we we're at the back, backstage at the drag show. So we already had that relationship prior to this challenge. So when I saw I got paired with Pepper, it was just like, oh my God, like this is going to be amazing. And like Peppermint said it on stage, like you could tell we had chemistry and we added little bits to our number to kind of show off that synergy. So yeah, so it was great. And I mean, even off camera, like Pepper and I were rehearsing all the time, and like we had each other's backs for sure.
Awesome. It's good that you had someone that you felt like you connected really easily with in those kind of situations, because not everybody has a part. Like I feel like not specifically in this cast, but in general, when you're working with someone else, you don't always get along. You don't always have that relationship. So it must have been nice to be able to do that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, you also have to think like, we're sequestered. We don't have our phones. We don't have contact with the outside world. So like, I can't call my partner up and say I'm having a bad day, or what do you think of this, or whatever. So those like genuine friendships that you make on set are so important, because that's who you have to confide in. So I mean, between Jesse and Pepper and Amara was another huge person for me. They're genuine relationships. This isn't like a TV. Oh my God, we're sisters. Like we are genuine friends. Like I talk to them every day.
Yeah, no, that synergy definitely came through on stage and in the performance. It was like just like dynamite. It was Studio 54. It was everything.
Studio 54 period. Oh my goodness. So going further
Take a shot every time Michaela says, "Oh my goodness."
Stop! Oh my God.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go again. At least we haven't talked about a wig yet. Yeah. See, there you go. I will take a shot for you. Jeez. Okay. Yes. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, thank you very much. Could you tell us a little bit more about your runway this week?
Yes. Oh my God. Okay. So I'm gonna spill some tea here today because I'm feeling spicy. Okay.
All right. I love it.
So I feel a little spicy, and I do need to say this. So you saw in the clip, Landon did the walkthroughs this week, right? Mm-hmm. But the other mothers were there. Right, so Barbada was there with House of Harmony, Crystal was there with House of Glass. Peppermint was not present because she was hosting the GLAAD Awards.
Right.
So we did the whole thing like last week where we got to show our looks off and all of that kind of stuff. So when we went through my house, Landon looked at all of the looks, and I think I was last when he was reviewing them. And he had like constructive criticism, like actual constructive criticism for everybody. And was like, you should change this, you should incorporate this. And I showed him my look and, told him what I was going for and all this kind of stuff. And he said he loved it. And he was like, the thing is like your look is like monochrome orange. So just make sure you have orange in your makeup. And I was like, done. I was going to do that anyway. So then when it came time to do the runway, obviously you saw the part where the straps fell down and stuff like that, which was really, really frustrating. I'll tell you about that in a second. But I actually got judged by Landon and Barbada, but Landon spoke first. So I was kind of there with like my chest popped out, like, oh, I already know what he thinks of my look. And he didn't like it on stage. So he kind of flipped and was like, I thought it was going to be this, but I'm confused by the concept and like all of this kind of stuff. And I was just like flabbergasted because that's not what had happened yesterday. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you'll notice like on stage, like I'm visibly like upset, like bothered, because I was like, what is happening? Like, am I, like, like, I don't understand. Like, and I'm upset, I'm angry, like I'm sad. Like I was just so confused. And I think that, kind of led into some of the judges' like perception of like how I, like maybe she can't take criticism, or maybe like, she's upset and she doesn't have like the fire to move forward. And it wasn't that at all. I was just so confused by the comment. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
So yeah, so it was interesting. And I mean, obviously like that's his prerogative. Like he can change his mind, and maybe he thought it was going to be one thing backstage and it looked different on stage. Like that's totally fair. But I kind of went into it with an expectation of what type of comment I was going to get from him, and then when that didn't happen, I obviously had a reaction to it,
which I think is fully fair. Like you like, had this one like expectation in your head of like, oh, he's already gonna love this, like this is how it is, and he fully flips that. I mean, I would be shocked too.
Totally. Yeah. And then, I mean, then I was fighting with the straps and stuff. So when I had, again, with the amount of time that I had to prepare, so I had ordered the shoes in and I had tried them on with a look bare leg at home and they were fine. And then backstage when I was walking, they started slipping. I'm like, oh my God. So I had Amara was there like tying up the laces. I had hairsprayed my legs. I was trying to like wrap them into my fishnets to try to keep them up. But at that point, it's like, I'm literally about to go on stage. Like, I can't change shoes at this point. Like, what do you do, right? So it was really frustrating because, I had gotten a note last week about, making sure that like my garments are comfortable and all of that kind of stuff. And like obviously, I had rehearsed walking in that look and all of that kind of stuff. So it was frustrating for me because I didn't want to give the perception that I wasn't listening or I was unprepared or anything like that. But things happen, and that's what it is. You know what I mean? So you just gotta kind of move on from that. So after I got those critiques, I went outside. It was so funny. We went outside, and I took Amara out with me. So there I am with no wig on and half this look. And Amara's there dressed up as a beautiful condom, consoling me outside. Meanwhile, there's cars driving by the set and everything. Like, it was the most ridiculous moment ever. And I wish, like, if we had a backstage footage, like, that would have been the high. Like, you thought the Karen wig was the highlight of the season. This was the highlight of the season. You got some woman in bondage wear with no wig and a condom, like, rubbing her back outside. So anyway, so I went outside, had a good cry. I was like, brush off those frustrations, and I was like, I need to go into the showcase and like kill the talent.
The devil is truly in those little details, and you just gotta pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and dance it out. And that is
totally.
That was like a good segment. Period.
No, and that's the thing. It's like you can only see so much that happens in the episode and stuff like that, but there's a lot of stuff that goes on, behind the scenes, and and again, it's nobody's fault, and it's I'm not bitter about it. I mean, it is what it is. It went like I went home, and the look wasn't my favorite look. It didn't go off the way that I had hoped, and those things happen, but there is. There's things that kind of led up to that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. And I mean, you can even hear it in your confessional when you're talking about it over the runway and after the straps fall and all that stuff. And you're like, I just got this critique. Like, I know I got this critique. And so it really sucks that this happened. And I think you handled that really well in the way you said it, because it was like, it wasn't a way of being like, oh, well, I already got this critique and, like, here it is. It was like, I know I got this critique and there's nothing I can do about it at this point.
Totally. Yeah, totally. That's what I mean. It happened, and you got to kind of keep moving on. But I do have to say, like, it's like I said, like, you get knocked down, and I had my little moment, and then I was like, we're going into this challenge, and I'm a kill it. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Word. So we then find out, well, Dallas really announces that another 2 competitors are leaving the competition.
When is that gonna end? That's all I got.
Please.
This is like the Hunger Games. Call me Mother, Hunger Games edition. Like, I don't know what is going on, but no, it was wild, right? I mean, you have the 3 people first episode, and then the 2 people the second episode, and like we were like, there's no way they're doing this, and then they did it again, and we were like, this is wild. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you put so much time and effort into preparing your package for the show, and then to obviously have it cut short is wild. But I mean, at the same time, it just kind of speaks to the caliber of the competition, and I think everybody felt the pressure at that point for sure, and it makes for great TV, and it keeps everybody on their toes. But I knew that people were going to be, and I said it on the show, like, gunning for the house to dual set. I was like, these other houses are not going to let us go through with 4 members while they're both down to 2 the following episode. Like, they are coming for blood. So, like, we all, like, house to dual set backstage, we were like, we need to bring it this episode.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, we were, as viewers, we were shocked and shook again, because now we're like, we've literally lost almost half the cast.
Right?
Of the season in this many episodes. So it was kind of shocking, but obviously it would have been shocking for you guys too, because you had just lost 2 people and now you're losing another 2 people. And I think it was like what you were saying about, like, people were gunning for House of Dual Set. Obviously they were, because you guys had all your members still. So that was kind of where it was at with that. Was there a
no, absolutely.
Was there a pressure, do you think, onto a set from the beginning of this episode to like make sure that you guys were keeping up and making sure that
Definitely. And I think the other thing is like when they announced that it was a dance challenge, like 3 out of our 4 members have lots of dance experience, right? So everybody was like, oh, like, you know, we got to do it. And I mean, like, it speaks to it. Like Farrah talked about it a little bit, you know, after my elimination. Like she said, like, you know, you were the person who asked to be pushed. You were the person that, you know, worked really hard, all that kind of stuff. So like Farrah was choreographing that during the rehearsals. And there were times where like with other groups and stuff like that, like she would give them a movement and then people would say like, well, I can't do that. Like, can I have a different option or whatever? And I was like, you know, I can't really do a double pirouette or a triple pirouette, whatever we did, but I'm gonna practice this and I'm gonna get it done. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I was like, I knew that if I were to phone it in and ask her to, you know, simplify the routine, that it wouldn't have panned out for me. You know what I mean? I knew that I had to give it all the way, and you know, obviously, you know, that also didn't work out. But I knew if I was going to have a shot to stay in the competition, I had to give it 110%.
Yeah. No, and I thought you recovered really well when you. I don't know what exactly happened because we couldn't really see it very well. We just kind of saw you stumble a bit. I don't know if you tripped on something or what happened.
So when we did our walkthrough with the salon team, you heard they made us go-go boots, right?
Yes.
So what they did is they took our actual heels that we were practicing in and then glued fabric to the bottom of them to make the boots, right? So I was practicing in the heels without the go-go boots. And then when I did the routine, there was fabric on the bottom of my shoe. So when I went to turn, I slipped on the fabric from the go-go boot is what had happened. Yeah. So I turned, flipped, and then I spun out of it and grabbed the post. Which I mean, again, as a dancer, as a performer, it's like you got to keep going. You know what I mean? That happens. And honestly, like I was there and it hit the beat. You know what I mean? There's not much that you can do. But yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Listen, I am no stranger to stumbling through life, but if you land and you look pretty, that is a win.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Now I'm saying, oh my goodness. Michaela.
Maya's taking another shot. Oh my goodness. Oh, I did it too. See, DJ, you're just getting me on and on and on about this over and over again. Now I'm going to be consciously thinking about it in my head.
Okay.
All right. So obviously, one of the questions we love to end our interviews with all the time is we are both baby performers. We both do drag in our respective areas. And we want to know what advice you have for baby performers or people who want to get into drag.
Totally. My advice is just get out there and do it as much as you can. Honestly, I think, you know, I have a new drag daughter that, you know, she started in the last few months. And I remember when she started, she felt that she needed to have everything figured out before she ever stepped foot on stage. Like, you know, she had to have really good makeup, she had to have looks, she needed to know how to sew, she needed all of this kind of stuff. And I just think that sets such an unrealistic expectation on a new performer. Right. The thing is like you may have an inspiration. You know, I've always loved the 90s and 2000s, and that still holds true today. But as you perform more and more, you figure out what your aesthetic is, what your message is in drag, and you figure out all of those, you know, little kinks about your performance and, you know, what you need to work on and what you need to improve. But don't be scared about going out and, you know, looking stupid, not being 100% polished, because going out and getting that experience will help with all of that. So yeah, my thing is get out, perform as much as you possibly can, and practice. I remember, like, you know, when I first started, you know, my makeup was a struggle bus for the most part when I first started. What was that?
I said sorry because I felt bad laughing, but like.
Oh no, it's okay. It's all good. No, but like literally when I started, it was you know, it was one of the things that I really had to work on. And I would just spend, you know, evenings, you know, practicing an eye or practicing my contour or practicing a lip. And you don't necessarily need to do a full face every time, but working on those individual elements. And you know, I got pretty good pretty quickly. You know what I mean? Like again, at the time of filming, I was doing drag just over a year. So you know, it's put the time in. Nobody's going to hand you anything. If you want to learn how to be better at something, put the hours in. Practice.
Great.
Practice truly does make perfect.
Yes.
So, what is next for Mya Foxx now that we have this amazing platform coming straight off of Call Me Mother?
Yes, we've got lots of exciting things. So I'm doing like a little mini tour situation, not really sure what to call it, but I was just in Edmonton, doing some shows with Pepper. I'm currently in Montreal with Jessica Sears, doing some shows here in the other room.
A whale from Jessie.
Screaming, right? I'm going to be in Toronto doing my thing. So yeah, if you're in any of those cities, like definitely, if you haven't been out already, come and see me for sure. I just dropped my new concept video called Disco Redemption. I wonder why that is. Yeah, no, listen, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, being a dancer, going home on a dance challenge, it's, it sucks. I felt very embarrassed about it for a long time. However, looking back at it, I was like, oh, girl, you didn't even do that. Yeah. But I was like, in case there's any questions about who I am or what I do well, here's this. So go watch the video. That's my mic drop moment. So I'd love it if everybody can check it out. Yes. But yes, I filmed that here. I filmed that in Halifax with the local community. I had all my friends from drag, my drag mother, my drag grandmother, anybody who helped me out on my journey with Call Me Mother, the local dance community, and just local people from the 2S LGBTQ+ community as well. So I just wanted to give a little, shout out to them. Shout out to Yasmin Rashid and Cindy Daniels for choreographing the video with me and everybody that was involved. But yes, if everybody could go check that out, that would be great.
Yes, definitely go check that out.
My lash is doing something funny. Oh, there we go.
Ooh.
About to flutter away.
No, everybody definitely go check out the video and support Mya, because that would be awesome and amazing. So now is, you've already said what you're doing, but now is your time. Where can everybody find you?
Totally. So you can find me on Instagram at Mya Foxx with 2 X's _HFX. I wish I could just have Mya Foxx, but there's some random person that made an account and has 0 followers, and I can't get the username. So there's that. If you know who she is, let me know. I will put my Karen wig on, or maybe this one, and have a word with her.
Here comes. Yes, Mary J wig.
Mary J needed to make an appearance. Yeah, she needed to make an appearance. Yeah, so you can find me there on Instagram. On TikTok, I'm just at Mya Foxx. So you can check me out there. And yeah, I'll be traipsing around Halifax doing my thing and hopefully coming to a city near you soon.
Yes. Awesome.
This Mary J will haunt my best nightmares for...
And it is everything. Yeah. It is And honestly, okay, so here's the thing. I know the wig is horrible. I know that. But I love a bus driver wig, like, going to and from the gig. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you're just walking up the street and it's just the do-do-do-do. So that's where I wear her. And she's the best. But this wig is freaking famous in Halifax. I'm telling you, everybody has seen this wig. When everybody found out I was on Call Me Mother, they were like, you had better not have worn that wig on TV. And I was like, girl... Just wait.
Wig Zaddy was not going to let you wear that on the runway.
That's cute. I'm gonna make you something.
I'm gonna make something. We're gonna not do that.
It's the reaction. Like, I had to play it back and watch Zaddy, and Lucinda's almost even funnier because Lucinda's just like, she has like a physical reaction to it. It's amazing. But yeah.
Lucinda was clutching her pearls. Lucinda was like...
She was like, oh, joy.
Yeah, I think what we need to do is we need to start like the Mya Foxx Mary J challenge, and everybody posts their best photo with their favorite bus driver wig.
I think that's what we should do. That's brilliant. Start that.
Instagram, everyone, get on.
Get it started. Oh my goodness.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Lovely. So I think that's all the time we have right now, but we wanted to just thank you so much for coming and interviewing with us today. And we hope that whatever you are going to do in the future is going to be amazing and wonderful. And we just want to let you know how much we love and adore you.
Thank you so much. Y'all are amazing. And thank you so much for covering the season. You'll have great insight. I love the commentary. And thank you so much. And hopefully, whether it's on the East Coast or the West Coast, maybe we can meet in person at some point.
Yes, I would love that.
Yes. Okay.
All
love
right.
y'all. Have a great night.
You. Thank you so much.